everybody, how are we doing? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. Before we get going with everything, as always, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go search the Alex Cuesta Show for socials. David, how goes it?
Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. But you're also like semi-dying. So David has been under the weather-ish. So if you hear him coughing, he's okay. It's not the vid, I don't think. David, you have the vid?
I don't believe so.
Is it coming back? Oh no, put the masks back on. But yeah, that everything's good here. We're having some fun. We're gonna do a fairly quickish show, but it's gonna be on a fun topic. So, Dave, what we're gonna talk about today is something that we kind of were just shooting the shit around, and where it's like, hey, this could be a decent topic for the show. So, one of the people from, I want to say, how many years now has this been going on? At least 3-4 years now?
Longer?
Yeah.
I think so.
He's a man that's been chastised almost like no other, in both kind of thought of as a madman, made fun of. Some people thought he's been a genius, but LaVar Ball, the patriarch of the Ball family, Lonzo, LaMelo, LiAngelo, he has been one of the biggest faces in all of sports and entertainment. He's kind of gone to the back burner lately, but back when Lonzo Ball was at UCLA, coming through, doing his thing, all of a sudden, Lonzo's starting to get some play, starting to get some, notice how talented he is. And then comes this big, brocky, bald-haired dude. I think he used to play some pro football. And all of a sudden, you guys haven't seen anything yet. Lonzo's the greatest of all time. He's going to knock it out of the park. Everyone that doesn't draft him, blah, 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 blah. And Dave, I'm not going to lie. My first initial reaction was, this guy's fucking amazing, and he's out of his goddamn mind. And it's like, it's kind of the double, like, he was a fantastic unicorn, but at the same time, I even think I said to a few people, like, if his kids don't turn out to be great, he is fucking up their lives. But it was such an interesting thing. And just his bravado and his charisma were just amazing, to the point where he started a brand with, it's one of the cheesiest, most 90s, most ridiculous names, the Big Baller brand. And the prices were outrageous. And Dave, people ate it up for a little bit. There's people still rocking the BBB. It's pretty wild, Dave. What was your first impression of LaVar Ball when he just came onto the scene talking all of this shit and hoping that his kids could back it up?
For the most part, I just found it funny. And the thing is I don't even think he was hoping they could back it up. It really did feel like he kind of knew they could at least back some of it up. Otherwise, obviously, he's boisterous, but he's boisterous for a reason. We talked about it earlier. He's like cutting WWE promos for his sons, or was at least, because he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it as much now. And we don't hear about it because he doesn't need to. They're proving it on the court. But like he knew his sons were damn good ball players. So why not go and market them? And I at least I felt like that's a good part of what he was doing, because he knew his sons could be really good. So I'm going to help push him as much as possible. And I love it. I really do.
Yeah. And I saw both ends of the coin when it came to a lot of debates about what he was doing, especially when Lonzo first got into the league. His shot wasn't very good. He was struggling with the Lakers. He obviously had ball skills, but he was struggling to find his place. And I saw both ends. I saw people criticizing him, saying, he's doing too much, putting too much pressure on his kids. And then the other side was, no, he's a great parent. He believes in his kids. He's in his kids' corner 100%, enough to talk them up like he does. And to the point where he even told LaMelo, don't go to college. Come play in my league. Go play here. And LaMelo took a very roundabout way of getting to the NBA. But it's paid off because, like we said, he talked his shit and his kids backed it up. Because you look at Lonzo Ball now, and I was one of the most critical people of Lonzo Ball when he came out into the NBA. I flat out said Kyle Kuzma was a better prospect than him at the time, which now seems crazy, even though Kuz is balling out. But it now seems a little crazy because Lonzo's playing so well. But my biggest criticism of Lonzo was he could not shoot a three. And much like Ben Simmons was, and still potentially is, he was unwilling to shoot the three. He'd be wide open and no one would cover. Now, I think he's shooting somewhere near 30% from the 3-point. Like, he's doing fantastic. So I have to eat my words about him there. And, there's not much to say about LaMelo. LaMelo is, as advertised, a bona fide all-star. Definitely earned his all-star. Like, it's fantastic. He's shooting regular season. Lonzo Ball this year is shooting 42.3% from three. And he has an identical field goal percentage. Considering a guy that had a broken shot coming in, that is amazing. And that just goes to show that, like you said, the bravado wasn't for nothing. He obviously knew his boys were hard workers, that they put their head down. They took the craft seriously, and they really do. Both ball boys are amazing. Ball boys. Both ball boys are amazing. And, LiAngelo is not as skilled, but he's still a damn talented basketball player. So it's been fun, Dave. It's been fun seeing this all be a positive in the end.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, if, like, the way you put it at first, if he was just hoping his sons were as good as he thought they were, then there's a good possibility that he's really just hurting them. But it wasn't really hope. He knew how much that they eat, sleep, and breathe basketball. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, basically most of their life was basketball. So he knew the skills they had, all the things they went through. And even with how difficult the NBA is, he just knew that they could at least play at a high level. I mean, some of the stuff he said, they still haven't reached, obviously.
Yeah, like they're better than LeBron and things like that. Like, no, that's different.
But like I said, WWE promo, you're cutting something good. You want to get him in the league, and they do have at least enough skills to back up a good amount of what you're saying. So it worked out in the end. He ended up not hurting his family. You don't want to emulate it unless you know that your kids or whoever you're promoting can actually reach that height and can do it with a good possibility.
Yeah. And, and the proof is in the pudding here. Right now, Lonzo Ball is a very realistic possibility of winning an NBA championship this year with the Chicago Bulls. That is a really, really good team. DeMar DeRozan is an MVP candidate for a reason. But the big thing is they did a really good job in that franchise. I don't want to say they completely built around Lonzo, but they made sure they put Lonzo in a good position to use his strengths. They made sure they gave him a lot of playmakers and a lot of shooters and just put the ball in his hand and said, go to work. Develop a three so they have to guard you and go to work. Because when you watch that team play, when Lonzo was running that offense, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Because they don't play a basketball style like we see a lot of superstars. They don't put the ball in DeMar's hands and let him go, which is DeRozan likes, because DeRozan has played a style with Kyle Lowry where he was set up a lot of the times by Kyle in Toronto. With the Spurs, with even down years, Popovich's philosophy is move the ball, move the ball, move the ball. Mm-hmm. So he was, DeMar DeRozan works hard off the ball too. So he's not just a one-trick pony. And on top of that, the Bulls, they finally have their defensive metal back that we saw during the LeBron years in the East when they were the only team that gave LeBron fucking headaches, because now they have guys that defend like that. And it comes down to their best players like Lonzo, like DeRozan, both are bona fidely good defenders. So there's a realistic chance there. And then you have LaMelo, who's looking to save a franchise. He is the face of a franchise over with the Hornets. He is that good. That's the thing. He's looking to save a franchise. The Hornets now are in a good position to build around him. And, it's one thing where we were all sitting there and a lot of us, we were in our little group chat, and a lot of the people were saying, listen, Melo's legit, Melo's real. And you never know, but everyone was right about him, especially his dad, his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially like Melo was coming out before the NBA and shooting things from like half court.
Yeah.
He was able to just get whatever he wants. So obviously, like, it's a pretty good prediction to say that he's probably going to be pretty good in the NBA. You never know what'll happen, especially with anyone mentally or just getting used to the game. You never know how they'll translate to the NBA. But Melo already looked damn good coming into the NBA. So he just showed that he could always be that good, and he'll still do it to grown men on the basketball court.
And there's something to be said about the path that he took, because you have a guy like a Luka Doncic, and a lot of your European guys take the path of they're playing against grown men when they're 15, 16. So they come into the NBA and the physicality doesn't shock them. And I think LaMelo had that advantage playing against grown men for a little bit, that he came into the NBA and maybe the speed was a little bit better because the NBA is the best league. But in terms of, and definitely the skill is higher, it's more difficult to play. But in terms of the physicality, they're all grown men that he was playing against a bunch of grown men coming into this. So I think that definitely helped speed him up into superstardom, like it does for guys like Luka and a lot of these European guys that play pro ball since they're 15 and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that definitely helped him out. It's just it's different translations to the game, and honestly, sometimes it seems like other routes other than college could help you translate even better to the NBA. Because I mean, you look at people that came in off of either playing Euro ball or where and stuff like that, and they'll say things like Lucas said, where it's easier to score here.
Yeah,
because it's just a different game, and it translates in a very different way. So I don't know exactly how that plays out, because I know everyone wants to talk about, well, not everyone. I know some people want to talk about G League versus college right now. Some people going to G League over college. We'll see how that turns out in general. I don't know if the NBA really wants to spike college that much. But just to get back on track, overall, I mean, LiAngelo, I don't know if he's still on a practice squad or if he's anywhere right now. Last I saw, he was with
he was with the T-Wolves or something. T-Wolves, he was with one of them. He's still kicking and scratching. He's in the G League, in and out of the G League practice squad. He's there's a chance that he matures a little more and gets onto a team and maybe is a 12th man or a two-way contract. But you mentioned the G League, and and I think the G League and the NBA is trying to get that track where they tell these 18-year-olds, don't go to Europe, go to the G League instead, because you're playing against grown men. You're getting that speed and you're getting potential NBA talent versus European, which is a lot of non-NBA talent. There's a lot of talented guys, but it's a different game. You're now playing the American game. You're playing the game you're going to play at the next level, plus grown men and a lot of veterans that were in the NBA that are now out of the NBA. There's a lot there, but it's a different path. It's a different route. But again, getting back to the overall topic, though, just LaVar Ball was laughed by everybody, even people that believed in him. Everyone laughed at him, and he went as far. Like I said, he created the company. He created shoes. He got into a big spat with Lonzo, and now they're on speaking terms. But him and Lonzo didn't talk for a long time about Big Baller. But he did that. They made a reality TV show that nobody was asking for, but ended up giving some pretty good content, especially when they all went and played basketball against each other. It was like pretty cool to see. And then you see these types of things translating onto the court. And when Lonzo and LaMelo face off in real life, you now have reality TV clips to kind of paste over what they do to each other. It's kind of credit where credit is due on this one. And it's very rare. It's very rare that predictions come through and that targets aren't put. Like Lonzo definitely had a target on his back when he came to the NBA, and he weathered a lot early where, I think he got like damn near a triple-double in one of his first games. And I think Patrick Beverly played him like the following game after he had a really good coming out, like 12 points, 8 assists, 9 rebounds. It was something like a really good stat line, especially for a rookie. And then Pat Bev just came and fucking picked on him. Just barely let him get past half court all game. And it was kind of like that target. I think he even said, like, your dad did this to you. Your dad did this to you. And just to see him weather that and become the player he's become is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And again, LaVar knew this about his sons. He knew they were mentally tough. And again, credit where credit is due. I guess this whole episode is like, be a cocky dickhead if you know if it's going to work out.
Well, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness. And sometimes cockiness isn't exactly negative. I mean, yes, it comes off brash, but if you know what you're speaking of, even with all the variables that throw into the pot with especially making the NBA and playing well, You can be a little cocky sometimes, or you could be a little confident sometimes. Like these things will work out as long as you're showing the right attitude towards it. So that's the only thing that worked out with LaVar Ball is just he knew what he was talking about with his sons, and he felt like it was going to go the right way. Because I think even if it didn't work out in any of their favors, he would have still been behind them 100%. It's just he felt it was definitely going to work out. He saw them play. He saw them play against other people around their age and older and do just as fine with them. Yep. So he knew that they could do it, and he wanted to get them in there as best as possible. He wanted to cement them as best as possible, even with the target on their back. So I completely get the strategy. It's not a strategy that most people will rely on because it's very difficult to even think that you'll prove it out.
It's a lot of pressure on the kids too. A lot of pressure on the kids.
100%. But if you feel like you're in the right spot, it's not the worst strategy in the world, and you could see how it works out.
Yeah. And and it's like you mentioned the fine line between cockiness and confidence. I think for pro athletes, you need to have that cockiness, borderline confidence, both like in a mix in your skills. Because if you don't have that, then you're not going to be the best yourself on the floor. And then with your accomplishments, you can be humble. There's a difference. I think everyone, you see all of them. You see the dog in all these guys. And even the quiet guys that we've seen throughout history. Your DeMar DeRozan's. Your DeMar DeRozan is about his shit on the floor. He is not Tim Duncan. I've heard people talking that Tim Duncan is one of the best shit talkers in the NBA. You would never know it just by his demeanor. But when he's on the floor, he's a different dude. But that whole Spurs team, your Tony Parkers, your Manu Ginobili's, they were just quiet confidence, talk their shit. They were all cocky. If you don't think that whole team did not walk around cocky, you have to be cocky to run into the NBA as they were, not worry about getting 8 seed through 1 seed because the Spurs did not give a fuck what seed they had. They just got in. They knowing they could win a championship from wherever they were. That ain't confidence. That is cockiness. That is the difference there. That is them going, we are better than everybody. And we're going to win. It doesn't matter where we are. You guys can all try. Have fun with your regular season, Dallas Mavericks. Have fun with your regular season, Phoenix Suns and Nash and Amari Stoudemire with their run and gun. We're the fucking Spurs. We're going to beat you. We'll take you out early. We'll be the 7 seed and take out the 2 seed and make our lives easier in the end. That is a cockiness. And it's necessary. But then you look at teams and people hate LeBron, but LeBron is a humble guy when it comes down to it. Like if he's asked the question about his level of greatness and where he is, he answers the question. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to have LeBron unless it's an Instagram post, and Instagram is all theater anyway. But for the most part, LeBron is fairly humble about his accomplishments. He doesn't go out there and constantly remind everyone. He's kind of a crybaby at this point in his career about shit, but he's also an old man in the NBA, and he just wants things his way. But for the most part, he's the most accomplished NBA player we have right now. And he's been pretty damn humble about the accomplishments. He's, all-time leading scorer now. That is nothing to fucking, and he hasn't really said much besides how happy he is about it. There is something to be said. You got to be cocky when you're doing it about your skills, but be humble afterwards. And look at where's LaVar now? Like we said, we haven't heard from him. This is as humble as you're going to get LaVar Ball. He's not out front where he could be right now out front, making promos, cutting promos saying, bitches, I told you so. Lonzo is the key of the Chicago Bulls. LaMelo is saving a franchise. LiAngelo is still on the come up. Everyone come get your receipts. And he's not doing that. He could very well be doing that right now.
Yeah, 100% could. It's just like you said, I don't really feel like he doesn't feel like he needs to. His mission was accomplished. He did what he had to do. He'll still talk his shit because that's probably the person he is. And I don't disagree with that. I mean, I talk my shit when I'm feeling it.
We talk our shit on this show every week.
Exactly. So that's the thing. But he misaccomplished. No reason to go out there and say anything right now. Maybe once or twice you might say something just to make sure people don't forget about you a little bit. But other than that, I don't need to be out there. I did what I had to do. My sons are set.
Yeah. And if our Nets don't win the championship, I would love for the Bulls to get it. just because
pretty
you
cool.
know LaVar would be out there going, big ballers here. I fucking told all of you.
To be
my
truthful, I'd
son's
rather for
a
DeMar,
dog.
but that would be wild as well. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I'd be happy for DeMar, but you don't. But the funny thing is, and this would be it, he would do an unintentional dig at DeMar because regardless, Lonzo could average 2-2-2 and play the worst defense, and they would win a championship. And he would come out and say, "We know the MVP was Lonzo." That's just him, though. Like he would flat out say, like he could have the worst series and be basically Dante DiVincenzo, just be like opportunistic scorer, play good defense.
I was gonna say, DiVincenzo had a very good series.
Not DiVincenzo. No, what was that? Dellavedova. Dellavedova is who I was talking about. Dellavedova when the Cavaliers were shorthanded without anybody besides LeBron.
Yes.
And they went up against a full-powered Golden State. And
grit.
Oh my God, he was just such a thorn in Curry's side. But I digress. It doesn't matter what happens. If the Nets don't win, I want it to be the Bulls just because I want LaVar to really talk his shit because he will, and deservedly so. And he'll flat out be like, all right, Melo's next. Next year, Melo and the Hornets are going to get it. Like, I need that, Dave. I need that. But
that'd be a ton of fun, especially if he goes on ESPN and like argues with Stephen A or something like that for no reason.
He does. And we need to talk real quick because I didn't watch the clip, but you sent us a thing about Stephen A. And we need to talk about it real quick because I think it's important. And it kind of, I don't know. Everyone does it for Steph Curry, that he's the best shooter of all time. I don't think Steph Curry's ever come out and said it, even though at this point, if Steph Curry came out and was like, I'm the greatest shooter of all time, fuck with me. No one's going to deny him. But you had a clip that you sent me, and I think you sent into our little group of bros about Mad Dog. Basically, the title was Mad Dog takes Stephen A to school on the top 10 and whether or not Steph Curry's a top 10 player.
Well, that was Barstool.
Was that Barstool?
Barstool's caption? Yeah.
Barstool. Yeah. Well, Boston Barstool. Anyway, just kind of talk about that real quick. What happened there? And we'll do a little quick on your take there. What do you think about Curry in the end? So give it a little clip synopsis and Curry. Yeah. I'm putting you on the spot, bitch. We didn't talk about this.
So the clip synopsis is it seems like it came at the tail end of Stephen A making a point that he thinks Steph Curry is top 10 all time. Mad Dog's like, are you crazy? And then he brings the question, series on the line, like championship series on the line. Who do you want? So-and-so or Curry, like Bird or Curry, Magic or Curry. And he kind of went down the list. And Stephen A was caught with some of them. And some of them, he's like, well, what do I need? Do I need scoring? So it was an interesting conversation. And I know we talked about this a little bit, and you said it depends on era. And
it certainly does.
And it's definitely similar to what Stephen A said. Like, what do I need? I'm not sure, because I would agree with Steph Curry is the best shooter of all time. Top 10 is always difficult, though, because there's so many.
We can kind of do the rundown here real quick. You're not taking him over MJ. Right. No. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. Yeah. Are you taking him over Magic Johnson?
No.
Okay. We could bring up Larry Bird. Are you taking him over Bird?
No.
Okay. Are you taking him over LeBron? Now, LeBron's interesting because people criticize LeBron about end of game, but I'm not taking him over LeBron.
No.
Are you taking him over Kareem?
No.
Probably not. Okay. Are you taking him over a Bill Russell?
No.
Are you taking him over Wilt?
No. Probably not.
Okay. We're up to 7, so he's sitting on 8th right there currently. Are you taking him over Oscar Robertson?
Yeah, this is where things get tough because
it gets interesting as you go there, and I'm probably leaving out some names that people would be screaming about.
Because Mad Dog brought up Tim Duncan. Because everyone wants to never talk about Tim Duncan, but Tim Duncan is one of the most decorated basketball players.
The thing is, are you taking him over Timmy?
That's a good question because I don't know if I am taking him over Timmy.
Okay, let's do this. If it is a 1-point game, let's take away the 3 factor, because if it's a 2-point game, you're going to want a Steph Curry because Steph Curry is an automatic 3. If it is a 1-point game, final shot coming down, you have the ball on an inbound, you have to draw up a play. Are you drawing up a corner elbow shot for Tim Duncan or a wide open 3 for Steph Curry? Who would you take to make that shot?
I'm not sure.
See, to me, what I've seen, and as much as I do love Steph, because people don't know that, you know this, Golden State has been my secondary team for probably 2 decades now.
Yeah,
almost. So I've liked,
since they had the man in the logo.
They had the man in the logo. Jason Richardson was their star. I went through the upset of the Mavericks. I've always cheered for them. And I love Steph. What Steph has done for the team has been unbelievable. But just what I've seen Tim Duncan do. And, people love to talk about Joel Embiid right now. Tim Duncan did everything that he did except for shooting threes. Yeah. And the elbow, there's a reason why that the banker shot, nobody does it in the NBA.
Bank was always open.
It is so difficult. And Tim Duncan made it look easy.
Yep.
I would have to take Tim Duncan there. I would take Tim Duncan over Steph.
That's what I'm saying. It gets really, really tough because it's like Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. And damn well if he's on in a night, the whole offense is not only can it move through him, but the full defense needs to come out and respect him. You need to go out the half court because you don't know if he's just going to be like heat check and hitting a three from there.
We could go this way, though. Is he even – where would you put him in terms of point guards? Is he the second best point guard behind Magic? Are you going to put him behind Isaiah?
I haven't given a lot of thought about that.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lie to you.
And the thing is, everyone discounts Isaiah Thomas.
I know.
And Isaiah Thomas is probably the second best point guard to ever play the game. People say Stockton, and Stockton is another one. Is he that much? Is he better than John Stockton? A lot of kids recency are going to say, yeah, absolutely, because they've never fucking seen John Stockton play basketball.
I was going to say, it's tough, man. It gets real tough.
It is real tough. And the thing is, I think we get caught, and I think this is where Mad Dog probably, and Stephen A should understand this because he's seen a lot.
Stephen A did say, he's like, he got me with a bunch of
He did, because when you look at it, we're looking at it from a recency bias thing, because we're seeing Steph Curry. We're seeing the brilliance. He is an all-time great.
The actual magic of Steph Curry, because he shouldn't be able to do that.
He is an all-time great. Now, I said to you that a guy like Steph Curry, a guy like Kyrie would probably be closer to Allen Iverson if the generation was, you're going to get fucked up if you're a little guy going into the key. You're going to get your scoring in there. You're going to be crafty, but you're going to get hit. You're going to get beat up, and you have to shoot from the outside, and the mid-range game works. But I don't know. I don't know if I can put Steph top 10. It's very difficult, and I think Mad Dog has a very good point there.
It is a very good question. It's a very good question, and I think it's a very interesting argument to hear from people. You get to really see what they kind of respect in basketball. Depending on how they make your argument. And
again, I think eras do have a big difference because
and Mad Dog is like, are you going to put him over Kobe? Are you going to put him over so many? Like, there's so many people that you could throw out there. It's like, are you going to put Steph over them?
What it really looks at is Steph Curry generational in the sense that he could play in any era and do what he does now? And it's really a question. Because does his style fit in any generation? That's what makes guys generational in this sense with all time. LeBron James is LeBron James in any generation. Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, any generation. Tim Duncan's Tim Duncan. Shaq. Are we putting him ahead of Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Shaquille O'Neal or Patrick Ewing? Are we putting him ahead of two guys that changed the center position? Like, that's the thing. There's guys that have changed it that I don't know if you can put him ahead because Shaq dominates every generation. Ewing dominates every generation. Kobe is Kobe in every generation.
Yep.
D Wade's D Wade. Like, there's certain guys that you look at. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. Greatest. But is he the type of guy that goes in and does what he does in every single era? And I don't think he is. I don't think so. Which is unfair to him a little bit because we don't know. We don't know.
Exactly. That's what makes it such a tough question. And that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm actually very happy you brought it up because
it's a great topic.
That whole argument is, I mean, I really don't feel like there's exactly a wrong answer. Like I said, it really depends on what you focus on and what you like in basketball. The only wrong answer would be like, oh, he's better than MJ. That's a wrong answer. I'm sorry.
There's a few guys that is wrong answers saying he's better than. Like, I think there's like 5 or 6 of them that it's undoubtedly he is not better than. Like, it's not a question. I think once we got to the number, once we got in top to 8, once we got around there at 8, that's when it started to get a little more dicey once we got to 8. And, and I'm probably leaving out some older guys. I'm leaving out Jerry West. I'm leaving out Kuzi. I'm leaving out Havlicek. I'm leaving out a lot of guys that have a say in this conversation.
Now Brian Scalabrine, the White Mamba.
Hey, listen, don't mess with Scalabrine, okay? Don't mess with him. He for a long time there, he had more rings than LeBron, okay?
Oh, yeah, no,
a long time he had more rings than LeBron. So do not mess with Scalabrine.
Oh, I'm not.
Best. Well, the New Jersey Nets finest, Brian Scalabrine, which people only remember him for Celtics because he won chips there. But but yeah, that was a fun topic. Maybe I might actually sit down and do a little list of top 10 and see exactly where I put Steph Curry. And maybe I'll throw it up there and I'll have a little time for debate there because this is an interesting one.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I want to just say there is somebody else I want to bring up that people thought he was fucking crazy for a guarantee. Our favorite guy, Joe Namath. Joe Namath put himself out on that island, similar to the way LaVar was, but this was trusting in his own skills, which is different.
And his team skills.
But what he did when he did it, we're well past 68 when they won the championship.
What made the NFL what it is.
Exactly. I think it's more difficult what he did because he was, LaVar was banking on his son's skills, knowing his son's work ethic and everything. Joe Namath was banking that for 12 regular season games plus the playoffs, his team was going to be able to stay intact in a secondary league and be able to beat the big dogs in the Baltimore Colts, which were, the biggest, baddest team in the NFL. And the merger of the leagues hung on this game. This was whether or not the AFL could actually compete with the NFL. Many people at the time thought the AFL was a fucking joke. And when he guaranteed that they were going to win the Super Bowl and roll through and beat the NFL, he was this pretty boy bitch laughingstock from an upstart New York Jets that did not belong. People don't realize the gravity of what Joe Namath actually did.
100%. The only problem I have with what Joe Namath did is that whatever kind of voodoo magic he did to win that Super Bowl and make the NFL happen, cursed the Jets for generations, cursed the Jets for a long time. So I'm going to need him to give whatever power he got back from whatever kind of deity, because the Jets fans deserve something other than, we won the third Super Bowl ever.
I will say this. Zach Wilson is the first quarterback we've had that is maybe as pretty as Joe Namath was in his prime.
That's fair.
So there's something to be said.
That's
Jack
fair.
Namath is a very cute little boy. But but no, I think what we're getting at is, Joe, we love you, but if you're not going to give it back, please go.
Go somewhere. Go to Tahiti.
Go retire. Stop hitting on Susie Colbert. Just go somewhere. But yeah, his guarantee was, I think, a little tougher than LaVar's because of all the different factors around it.
It's a different type of guarantee, but it is still one of the most memorable guarantee in sports history.
And I will forever argue that the Jets Super Bowl win over the Baltimore Colts will forever be more important and better than the Giants defeating the Patriots and ending the undefeated season.
To the NFL, I don't think there's really an argument, because if the Jets win doesn't happen, the NFL doesn't happen.
You know what? Maybe we need to go back in time, because if the NFL doesn't happen, Tom Brady doesn't happen. Maybe you have something, Dave.
That's fair.
Maybe we need to friggin' Tanya Harding Joe Namath right before the Super Bowl to make sure they don't win.
Tanya Harding Joe.
I'll pay you for the lead pipe, Dave. I'll let you go do it. You're the MMA guy. You could definitely just roll him up into a small package and just beat the shit out of him.
I don't want to do that to Joe Namath.
Oh, I do. He's cursed us and he helped create Tom Brady. Even though we created Tom Brady as the Jets, which is even worse. Yeah, Mo Lewis created Tom Brady. God damn it, Mo Lewis. Anyway. All right. I think that's going to wrap this up. Dave, do you have any final words about LaVar? Who gets a championship first, Lonzo or LaMelo? I'm going to have to cut this.
I'm going to go LaMelo. I'm sorry.
What's the reason?
I don't feel like the Bulls are really good. I don't feel like they get through in the playoffs this year. I don't know if I don't know franchise-wise if they're going to sustain a team that's good enough to keep doing it, especially with Giannis and everyone else in the East right now. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
LaMelo, he's just more of a star than Lonzo. He controls the team. Lonzo, don't get me wrong, he's a floor general, but he's not the star of the Bulls. DeMar DeRozan's the star of the Bulls. LaMelo is the star of the Hornets. he is the one that controls the team. So I feel like he has the ability to take them to a championship, but not as they are right now. So, and obviously it's a shot in the dark, whatever happens in the future.
Absolutely.
But just talent wise, I have to go LaMelo over Lonzo.
And, the way I look at it, and what makes this so difficult is the big three everywhere else in the NBA makes it so much more difficult for the Bulls to do what they do, to try and win. Because you look at the Bulls' big three, it's a debate between DeRozan, LaVine, and either Ball or Vucevic. I think it's Ball more than Vucevic, because Vucevic is kind of dumbed down a little. He's not as dominant as he was in Orlando. Yeah. But that big three, let alone in the East, because the Nets, when they're together, have a better big three. Miami's very good. Like you said, the Bucks are good. There's a lot of good teams there. But then you look at the West, I don't think the Bulls match up well against anybody in the West either. They don't match up well against Phoenix. They don't match up well against some of the top teams there. So, especially like Golden State too, as they're playing with Clay coming back, and Clay hasn't missed a goddamn beat, which is ridiculous. So that's why I think it's tough. And I think, like you said, LaMelo has a better chance because LaMelo's going to be the superstar matchup against other superstars. He's not the third member of a big three. At worst, he's second. At worst, he's second, but he's still a very big focal point scoring option. He creates his own destiny type of stuff. Where Lonzo, he's a floor general, but he's not the guy taking the last shot ever. It's going to be Zach LaVine. It's going to be DeMar DeRozan. Mm-hmm. It might even be Vucevic over him because they're all better scorers. Mm-hmm. So I have to agree. It's probably LaMelo first, but who knows if the Hornets ever get out of their own way.
It would be really funny if it's LiAngelo. Just
as like if he's just on a roster like the Giannis Antetokounmpo type of thing.
I would love that. I would love that 100%.
If we're all just wrong, he just gets called up right before the end of the year. That would be fantastic. Would it count if he's not playing?
Yeah, you still got the ring.
We're gonna be those guys.
Hey, practice squad is what helps. You're only as good as your practice squad makes you.
Bling bling. I got the ring. He'd be like a wedding chick. All right. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this fun-filled episode. Dave, we don't talk about politics anymore. It's interesting. We just
go back into it.
We will eventually. We always do. We can't.
Everyone's talking about the big things right now. It would just be more noise and an already very. See, that's David's leftist tendency right here. He's a counterculture little kid. If everyone else is doing it, he's got to be against it. He's like the punk rock leftist in this way. It's not even against it. It's just like, oh, what are you going to say that's any different? Nothing, probably.
Everything we say is better. God damn it. Everything. All right. But without further ado, I'm going to end the show. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like the show, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth, and also go follow us anywhere you can find social media, The Alex Cuesta Show. Give it a search. You'll find it there. I appreciate everyone for listening. So long, y'all.